I'm Jonathan Colleggio, and today I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about how to smoke a turkey. My hobby is barbecue, and my favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. I've smoked about 10 turkeys over the last few years, and I'm now trying to perfect it. So with the help of my good friend, Jacques, we're going to show you guys how to smoke a turkey. This way you can enjoy Thanksgiving as much as we do. Smoking a turkey is not particularly difficult, and the only equipment you need is a kettle grill like this one. Now the first thing you need is your bird. You really should invest in a good quality bird, and the only thing that I really recommend against is getting one of those butterballs, those pre-brine butterball birds that you find in the supermarket. They may be great in the oven, I really have no idea. All I know is that I tried smoking one a couple of years ago without brining it, and it didn't come out very well. Now the rule for turkey is about 1 pound per person, but I always try to make a little bit more because I like to have tons of leftovers. The one thing you have to remember though is that if you're using a grill like this, don't buy a turkey that's more than about 14 pounds, otherwise the top will hit the lid as it's cooking. The next thing you need for a perfectly smoked turkey is a good brine. You can find all kinds of brining recipes online. Brine basically contains water, salt, sugar in a perfect proportion, and then it has a lot of different flavors and spices. This one has apple cider, onions, cloves, lemon, sage, honey. Think those types of ingredients. You can find a great recipe on the internet. The next thing we need is a brining container. They have brining bags, brining containers, basically anything that can hold the bird and the brine, which you can get the air out of, and then seal. So I'm going to be using this bag here. We're going to put the turkey in, the brine in, and then we're going to seal it, get the air out, and then sit it up together in this container that's going to hold it all up. Just make sure that when you're brining, use food-grade plastic on anything that touches the food. So now that we have the turkey and the brine in this bag, we're going to get the air out of it, seal it up, put some ice in it, and keep it around for at least overnight. I'm going to brine this bird for 2 days, starting on Tuesday night before Thanksgiving until Thanksgiving morning. You don't need to do it that long. I would recommend doing it at least overnight for the best effects. Now we're using a Weber kettle grill, but you can use any grill in this style. The one thing I recommend are having the foldable grill grates like this. This allows you to put in chips while the bird is cooking. If you don't have those, you have to remove the whole bird each time you want to add new chips to the fire. I did that exactly once, and that was enough for me. The next thing you'll need is charcoal. Now you can spring for that lump stuff if you want, it's great. Otherwise, you can use old-fashioned briquettes like this. They work just as well. The main thing here is to make sure that you have enough, because you don't want to have to run to the store on Thanksgiving Day to buy more charcoal. One other thing, don't buy that instant light stuff because it smells like lighter fluid and you don't want that flavor seeping into your burn. The initial burn, you're going to want about 2/3 of a chimney starter like this full of charcoal. That's about 70 briquettes. So you crumple your paper underneath here, light it up, and in about 10 minutes you'll have charcoal that you can put onto the fire. Just make sure that the briquettes themselves are white with ash, because you don't want to have unburnt briquettes in your barbecue. The next thing you need are wood chips. You can get these at any big box retailer, Home Depot, or usually a hardware store. They come in chips like this or also in bigger chunks. Better to have at least one bag of chips on you. I prefer hickory. We're going to take the chips, put them in the water, and soak them overnight. The water is going to get into this wood, and then we're going to take the chips and put it onto the fire. It's going to smoke, and that's what's going to infuse the meat with that great smoky flavor. Now another little trick of mine, when you have birds like this, there's often a lot of extra skin around this part where the neck was. There's a tendency to take that skin and throw it away. Don't do that. I always take this skin and I'll lay it down on the grill a little bit later on and cook it with the rest of the turkey. It makes a great turkey bacon. I'll show you a little bit later on. Finally, we need to melt up a little bit of butter. You just take this, put it in the microwave, get one of those brushes. We're not going to do that initially, but later on, as the bird starts smoking, it starts getting red, we're going to put this butter on it just to baste it a little bit. Now let's go down to the grill. All right, so we're ready to grill. If you remember, we set up a drip pan covering 2/3 of the grill. We're also going to take these coals and put them on the other third. Next, we're going to take the grill gate, put it on, and then we're going to take the bird and put it right over the drip pan like this. That's how we're going to cook this bird. Next, open up and take some of these chips, these wet chips that we've been soaking, and we're going to throw those right on top of the coals. that will start smoldering, smoking, and giving the bird that smoky infused flavor that we're looking for. We're going to come back to this in about a half an hour. So one other note, you're going to be tempted to put more coals on this thing and to cook it faster. Don't do that. Resist that temptation at all costs. You have all day to cook this bird. Never have more than about 70 briquettes, 2/3 of one of these chimneys worth of coal on that fire. Otherwise, you're just going to cook it too fast. The skin could split. It won't turn out well. Just cook it low, cook it slow. It's probably going to take 4 hours anyway, so take your time with it. Okay, so this turkey has been smoking for about 3 hours now, since late this morning. Over the last 3 hours, I've added coal every hour, just little batches to keep the fire going, but I never wanted to get too hot. I've also come back with new chips every half an hour to make sure that we're continuing that smoke that's going to season the turkey. The other thing I've done is I've rotated it a couple times to make sure that the same part of the turkey is not always the side that's closest to the fire, but the breast has always been up on the top side. So let's open it up and see how it looks. You can see how it's just turned that beautiful red color. You can see down here too that we still have a lot of chips in there that are just smoldering away. I don't think we need to add any more chips or any more coal. And you can just see how beautiful this bird has turned, and it's going to have that wonderful, rich, smoky flavor. And now we just need to make sure that the skin on this turkey is moist, and we're going to do that with some butter, that butter that we melted up in the kitchen a little bit earlier on. So this is 1 stick of salted butter that we've melted. I have one of these brushes, and I'm just going to take it and generously apply butter all over the skin. This will keep the skin soft and make sure that we have also a little bit of salt flavor on that skin. I'm going to do this also with some of the extra thighs that I've cooked. I always like to have extra leftovers, so we cooked a couple of extra thighs. The other thing we need to start doing at this point is to see if the temperature is where it needs to be. We're going to take this thing out when it reaches 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So I have an instant read thermometer here. It's 45 degrees outside, and I'm going to stick it right into the thigh area, try to get it down to the bone. So we are now at 147 degrees. That's pretty good. This thing will actually be off. We should be done here in about 20 minutes. So there's your turkey. When you take it off the grill, make sure and tent it in foil for about 10 minutes. Let it rest before you carve in, or you can let it rest for longer if you're still cooking sides. But after about 10 minutes, you can carve it and enjoy. You know, I love Thanksgiving. I love the idea that we have this holiday that's focused on a feast where we get to invite our friends and our family and our neighbors. We get to give thanks for our blessings. But what's most amazing to me is how this holiday even came to be and the circumstances with which it came about. 102 pilgrims set sail on the Mayflower in 1620, and within a year of their settlement, only 47 of them had survived. So the people celebrating that first Thanksgiving were people who had lost everything. They had lost their family and their friends and their loved ones. So how is that even possible, that people who had suffered so much could still have joy in the midst of great suffering like that? And I think the answer is that they didn't put their hope in their material blessings or even in their familial relationships, but rather that their hope and their joy came from God. It came from the salvation that they had through Jesus Christ and the forgiveness of sins. That was the whole reason that they had traveled thousands of miles in the first place, was to be able to worship God freely. And even there, in the midst of all of that suffering, they could still give thanks to God for their blessings. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed Jacques' filming, and I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for watching.